Hi, this is Jay Paap. I'd like to take a couple of minutes to share with you some information on a workshop that I'm going to be doing with Moon on a Stick this coming October in London, Product and Technology Road Mapping for Future Growth. For those of you that I've not met, I have 5 decades experience in technology management and innovation, starting back in the 60s and 70s, doing development work in the United States Air Force. After receiving my PhD in Innovation and Organization Change from Sloan School at MIT, I've spent most of the last 45 years consulting to commercial and government organizations globally. 4 primary areas: organization planning of R&D and new product development, open innovation and alliances, competitive intelligence, and executive education. Now, the masterclass I'm doing with Moon on a Stick this October is dealing with roadmaps. In its simplest form, a roadmap is nothing more than a tool that we can use in unfamiliar or uncertain environments to help us make decisions. Roadmaps give us information that help us locate where we are, where do we want to go, how best can we get there, and how to adjust when things change. Now, I've been helping organizations with roadmaps for probably 45 years now, but I've seen in the last 10 or 15 years an increased interest in road mapping. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Roadmaps are of most use when the environment is unknown or uncertain. And as organizations are embracing innovation as a strategic development tool, and as the world is changing ever more rapidly in the technology and markets and the kinds of competition you have out there, organizations are finding themselves more often in uncertain environments than they did in the past, and are turning to road mapping as a way to help. Now, when you hear the word roadmap, the first thing that comes to mind is a picture or a graphic that has a calendar along one dimension and shows different kinds of activities that you're engaged in and the relationships between those activities, either within an organization or across an organization. And basically, it's the plan for how do you expect to get from point A to point B. And these are very, very useful tools for helping to communicate your plans to people, to coordinate activities between different agencies, and to provide control to see whether you're on track. And these are important tools, and we will be talking about this kind of roadmap in my upcoming masterclass. But our primary focus is not going to be on the roadmap you use that helps you implement a decision, but rather on the roadmap that you build to help you make the right decision. In a perfect world, we would know everything we needed to know about potential markets and the customers within those markets and the technologies we might use to be able to address their needs and what the competitive environment would be like. And we would be able to process out that information and make very logical, clear decisions. However, we have limited information and it's difficult to get the information. We don't have a lot of certainty about what we're doing. And more importantly, we can get so much information on so many options, it's very easy to become overwhelmed. What we need is a framework that allows us to think broadly of all the options that are out there so that we don't miss things, but that gives us the guidelines for focusing down on just the most relevant pieces of information so that we can actually process that information in a timely way to make decisions. And that's what the landscape map is all about. The landscape mapping process or framework that I've been using, we developed back in the mid-70s based upon MIT's groundbreaking work on innovation for NASA that started in the 60s and continues to this day. It's a highly adaptable framework. It's not about forms, it's about a way of thinking. And it's been used by relatively small organizations with maybe half a dozen technical people, up to very large multi-hundred-billion-dollar organizations that have thousands of technical people. It's been used by almost every industry you can imagine in almost every corner of the globe. I was very proud when a few years ago CEB selected the work that we did with Timken based on CFTP as a best practice. Basically, the process is very simple. The first thing you have to do is decide what market you want to focus on. What's worth your time learning more about? And in the masterclass, we are going to provide some guidelines for how do you focus down to where it's really worth your time to learn more about your current or future customer. Then within each of those areas, figure out all the things that might possibly drive their decision, and then pick those that if you were to address would have the biggest impact on their behavior. Then once you've identified the needs that are driving your customer's behavior, then what we want to do is look broadly at all the possible technical solutions to those needs that you're using or other industries are using. And then again, select down those that give us the greatest chance of meeting our customers' objectives with our resources and the time frame we have. And we take the key pieces of information and we put it in a couple of flip charts or a single chart we call the landscape map. And we use this to start generating a discussion amongst people about what is possible and what are the trade-offs of pursuing one line of activity versus another. The output of that is going to be making some selections about projects that you want to do and then building the route maps that allow you to go forward. The outcome of this is going to be decisions that have to do with projects and programs and technologies that you're hoping to develop. And it follows a very simple logic as well. We plan to acquire or develop this technical expertise so we can provide or enhance our products and services to better meet our customers' unmet needs so we can improve our market position and meet our organization's strategic goals. Now, sometimes people ask me about, well, it says technology road mapping or product road mapping or market road mapping, and actually, you cannot separate those various activities. It is a continuous story going from investing in a technology to attempting to achieve your organization goals. The part of it in which you're planning to acquire your technical expertise becomes your technical roadmap. Improving your products or services is your product roadmap so that you can move in the direction you want in your market strategy is your market roadmap. The three are actually tightly linked together. So what are we going to do in our workshop? The masterclass is divided into 2 days. In the first day, we're going to talk more about the difference between route maps and landscape maps, their logic, how it ties into innovation, how you can tie your technical and product investments into your strategy, and spend most of the day looking at various tools for understanding and prioritizing your customers' needs and anticipating future needs they may not even know about. Day 2, we're going to talk about thinking broadly about the technology options you have, and then pulling that information together into a landscape map, and then giving guidelines on how do you make selections when you don't have firm numbers, how do you promote projects that have a lot of uncertainty in organizations that resist risk. And then we're going to give guidelines for making those decisions and then guidelines for how do you put together the route maps or the implementation maps that help you coordinate and communicate and control your activities. I do hope that I'll have an opportunity to see you in October. For further information, get on Moon on a Stick's website. Again, the course is Product and Technology Road Mapping for Future Growth, and it's going to be in London this fall on the 16th and 17th of October. Hope to see you then.